Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be going over this week's slate of NFL games and predicting who's going to come out on top in each game. Before we get started though, please drop a quick like and a sub on today's video. It would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate that. With that said, let's dive right into the video and I hope you enjoy. So here we go. Week 3, we're back. We're going to start with the Bengals at the Steelers. Bengals coming off a pretty, one-on-one start. Steelers coming off a one-on-one start. Questionable loss last week, after beating the Bills in week 1. But I think that they'll bounce back against this Bengals team. This Bengals team is definitely a team that they can gang up on and a team that they can beat. The Steelers defense looked really good against that Bills offense that, we thought would be really, really good. Obviously, the Bills offense had a really good week against Miami last week. But I think the Steelers will be able to shut down what the Bengals have on the outside of the football. I think that their defense is really where it's at. And, after losing last week, I think the perfect game for them is a bounce-back win against the Bengals. Now we got Colts versus Titans. Sorry if my camera's a little bit slow here. But Colts versus Titans, the Colts weren't quite able to get the win last week, I'm pretty sure. I think that's right. Tennessee was able to get the clutch win against Seattle. So with that said, I think I really like what Tennessee has going on right now. Obviously it was a tough week 1 for them, but they were able to really ground and pound the football against that Seattle defense. The Colts defense is a little bit better than Seattle. Let's get that straight for a sec. But if Derrick Henry is anywhere near the performance he had against Seattle last week, then I think that Tennessee will be able to get the win. Now we've got the Chargers versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are a team that really tough loss last week against Baltimore. Should have won that game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble. But I think that they'll be able to beat the Chargers. This team is talented. It's more talented than this Chargers team. And although the Chargers have been playing some solid football, they're 1-1 to start the year. And I like what they have on the offensive side of the football with guys like Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. The Chiefs defense is still underrated. It's still underrated and it's still really good. Remember, they had Tyrann Mathieu had 2 interceptions last week against Baltimore. And at the end of the day, Chiefs at home, I think that's going to be a tough matchup for any team, especially for a Chargers team. I just like the Chiefs in this one. Now we've got Dolphins and Raiders, and I like my Dolphins a lot, but I don't think that they're going to beat the Raiders. Last week was appalling to watch. It was absolutely appalling, and I know Tua Tagovailoa got injured, but even then, he's still not going to, even if he were to play on Sunday, he's not going to be 100%. He's going to be feeling iffy, he's going to be feeling shaky, and this Raiders team has looked fantastic to start the year. Defensively, they look much improved. Offensively, they look a lot more efficient. They look like they have the running game down pretty well. They look like Derek Carr is comfortable in the pocket. They look like Darren Waller is doing what Darren Waller did, and this Dolphins versus Raiders matchup last year was a really, really good one. Remember, that's when Fitzmagic threw an absolute crazy pass to Mac Hollins, Jason Sanders winning field goal at the end. I think the Raiders, with the way they've been playing over the past few games, and with the Dolphins, crushing loss last week against Buffalo, nothing good to take away from that loss whatsoever, other than some good cornerback plays at times. I think the Raiders will win this game, sadly for a Miami fan here. Sorry if it cut out there for a sec. Anyway, we get the Jets at the Broncos. I think this is another simple matchup. I think it's another home win. The Jets looked pretty dreadful last week against the Patriots. Zach Wilson had a really tough day throwing the football. The Broncos have looked really good of late. They're 2-0 on the year. Their defense is clicking. Teddy Bridgewater looks comfortable in the pocket. They look like they're a legitimate contender in the AFC West. Defensively, offensively, they have solid players, and Courtland Sutton, great game for him last week. I think the Jets defense is going to struggle, and the Jets offense looked really, really hopeless last week. Then we've got Carolina at Houston, and wow, Houston has looked good to start the season. They're 1-1, although they did lose to Cleveland. Obviously Tyrod Taylor got injured, but the Panthers have been playing some really good football. Their defense is absolutely grounding and pounding, and they look absolutely fantastic on the defensive side of the football. Mix that with Christian McCaffrey and mix that with, with Sam Darnold, who has looked okay to start the year. I think Carolina will get the win. Now we've got Baltimore and Detroit. I'm going to try and breeze through these pretty quickly here. I think Baltimore will get the win here against a Detroit team. Baltimore has looked really good, through a few games. They were able to keep up with the Chiefs. They kept up with the Raiders, ended up losing that game, but they look like they have some sort of offensive identity, and their defense is able to keep them in games at times. So I think Baltimore gets the win against a Lions team I think it's going to struggle at times this year. We've got a Cleveland versus Chicago matchup, and this is a really interesting game here. Obviously, Andy Dalton got injured last week. So did Baker Mayfield. So it'll be interesting to see if one of them are able to play in this game or if both of them are. No word on those guys yet. I'm recording this pretty early in the week. But I think that Cleveland probably gets the win in this one. I just like, at the end of the day, who they have on the offensive side of the football. I know that, Jarvis Landry, he might be injured too, but I love their ability to run the football. I'm not super confident in the Chicago defense, and I thought that, although Cleveland was with Houston at times last week and they were able to stay pretty close to them, they were able to pull away at the end of it. So I think Cleveland's defense is going to be a big advantage in this game, and I think that whoever's playing quarterback for Chicago is going to be rough for them with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, going after them. Love this matchup here, Washington versus the Buffalo Bills. I think I'm going to take the upset on this one. I think I'm going to take the Washington football team. They had a great game against the Giants last week, and I think I like Washington in this one too. Taylor Heineke's looked really good whenever he's been playing for Washington, and I think that continues. I mean, he looks really confident in the pocket. He looks really cool, calm, and collected, and when he needs to make big plays, he makes the big plays. He's got a great arm, great feel for the game. I love what that offensive line's able to do, creating space for Antonio Gibson, but more importantly, I think he's really able to spread the ball out, and I think that's important against a Buffalo defense that obviously played really, really, really well last week against the Miami Dolphins. And then defensively, obviously, Washington is able to keep up with any offense in the league, and I think the Buffalo offense is still going through some growing pains right now, and I think Washington will be able to capitalize that and get a win out of it. Now we've got Arizona versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville somehow still looks like the worst team in the league, and it's really that simple. I think Arizona they're able to put up points in a hurry. Kyler Murray, obviously, but more importantly, their offense and their defense is clicking, and I think Jacksonville is in a place where they're struggling. So I'm going to give Arizona the win in this one. Now we've got New Orleans and we've got New England. I think I'm going to go with the Patriots in this one. Home game, and I know the Saints did open week 1 up with a win against the Green Bay Packers, but at the same time, I think that the Patriots are a team that, one, are very good at home historically, and two, are going to be a tough out. I love them defensively, and I think Mac Jones, he doesn't really turn the ball over. He's smart, consistent with the football. I just like the Patriots in this one, especially at home against the New Orleans Saints. And, with a guy like Jameis Winston, you never know what's going to really happen. Giants and Falcons. I think this is the perfect game for the Giants to really come out and get a win. And the reason for that is I think that they have so much potential on offense with Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones looked good last week. That's the thing. He looked good last week. And then you match that up against a Falcons defense that is the worst defense in the league. I think this is a perfect matchup for this Giants offense to really get going. And I'm going to give them the win at home. Love this game coming up, Bucs versus Rams. This is probably one of the games of the week, to be honest. Two high-powered offenses, two really good defenses. You got some of the best players in the league in this matchup. But I think that the Bucs will be able to get the win. So I think this is going to be a very similar game to the game week 1 Bucs versus Cowboys, where there were just a lot of points up for grabs, a lot of points on the board, and whoever's defense played better for a tiny little bit amount of time is going to get the win. For me, I think that defense is going to be the Bucs. They have simply, I think that their talent is spread out a little bit more than the Rams defense. Obviously, the Rams have Aaron Donald and they have Jalen Ramsey, but I think that the Bucs are going to be able to win this one. Tom Brady on the road, still really, really powerful, potent, and I think that the Bucs, especially have the corners in the secondary to keep up with Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and they have the pressure to get to Matthew Stafford too. Now we've got Seahawks and Vikings, and I think this is another interesting game for the Seahawks team. They could not stop the run to save their life last week, and I think that's really going to hurt them against this Minnesota team. Minnesota, I'm going to give them the win in this one, and this is a really, really, really tough win if they were able to get this out of the bag. It's a little bit of a sneaky win here too. For me, Seattle could not stop the run, and Minnesota is arguably the second or third best running-heavy team in the NFL with Dalvin Cook, good offensive line, and then you add, Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson on the outsides and that passing game. That's going to be a lot to handle for that Seattle defense that was not able to get it done last week. Sure, the Vikings defense is really questionable, and it was It really was last week and the week before, and it has been over the past few seasons. Ever since some of their bigger names got older or left the team, especially at the cornerback position. And I know Seattle put up a lot of points last week, but they also gave up a lot of points on the run. And if the Vikings are able to control the time of possession, control the game via the run, they're going to be able to win. Now we've got the Packers and the 49ers. I liked what the 49ers were able to do last week. They look like a cohesive and consistent team, and they look really, really confident. Also, the storyline between the Packers and the 49ers over the past few years is the Packers haven't been able to beat the 49ers. They just haven't. And after what seems like a slowish start to the season, the Packers need to get some momentum going. But at the end of the day, I still think the 49ers are going to win. Packers have not been able to figure out the 49ers over the past few years. I think that's going to continue. I don't think this Packers team is any better than they were a few years ago, although the 49ers team probably isn't any better than they were a few years ago. And without a real running back, that running back situation is a little bit weird with a lot of injuries. I like the 49ers in this one at home, especially Packers have not been able to win on the road in San Francisco in a while. So I'm going to give San Francisco the win if it lets me. Perfect. Cool. Nope. There we go. Now we've got the Eagles and the Cowboys. This is a great game here for the NFC East. I mean, anyone's game here. Jalen Hurts going up against a questionable defense in Dallas, but I think that the Dallas offense is just going to be too much, especially on Monday Night Football. Dallas always comes to play primetime games. Dak Prescott, Zeke, Tony Pollard. I think that offense is simply too much to handle for Eagles defense that has been able to hold their own at times so far this season. But I like Dallas on this one, and I'm going to give Dallas the win. With that said, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please drop a like and a sub on today's video. That would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate that. Also, comment your thoughts on my game picks and my predictions for this week. Do you agree with them? Why or why not? Leave all that information and all your comments in the comment section down below. Love to hear it. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see ya.